Yo, what is going on? Well, welcome everybody back to another episode of Boss Bell, episode 53, featuring Jablo from Compete. Jablo, how are you doing, my friend?
Good. Hey, I gotta say that intro was a vibe, man. I really like it. I really like it. No, I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, the little intro is something we created for the show before it goes live. So just something I put a little together. And then Damien, of course, has been doing all the artwork. So all the artwork, shout out to Damien for that. So yeah.
Respect.
Yeah, we're doing good over here. Robin, how are you doing, my friend?
You know me, light on my feet, ready to compete. Excited about this Boss Battles episode number 53. Let's run this thing. Pew, 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 pew. I didn't hit the button.
Next time, I'm going to call you Ramen the Pun King. Is that better?
It's whatever makes you happy.
Bro, you're going to have somebody like compete puns today, aren't you?
Nope.
Liar. He's going to do it.
Yeah,
all right, so.
He's been stacking them.
We're going to go over how the show works real quick over the rules. So our guests will have to score an 85 average above all bosses. And then towards the end of each round, the audience will be able to vote on X to determine if the guest is doing well or not. So if you vote A, he's doing good. Vote B, not doing good. What's new to this show is we're going to be bringing up audience members. So everyone congregate in the Discord. And we'll select you guys for the audience segment. So you guys will get to come up to the show and ask Jablo a question. Other than that, that's pretty much how the rules work. There will be a lightning round that will not be part of the scoring portion, just kind of like a cool down period for you. But other than that, Jablo, are you ready to play some Compete? Oh my God, I fucked up. Are you gonna play some boss battle?
No, I'm ready to go to battle.
Oh, I just been informed there's going to be no Discord segment, so sorry, people, no Discord segment. But yeah, let's get it going. I guess I'm Craig today because we didn't talk about that. So. All right, we're gonna go to the first question here, and it says, "Can you tell us the story of how Compete started and what inspired you to take on the gaming industry's broken model?"
Yeah. Hey, is this the first boss, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. Damn, you guys are just throwing me right into the wolves' den here. Looks intense. Okay, so how did Compete start, and why did we get into trying to kind of change the gaming industry?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's what I would call our origin story. And, really where it started was our CEO and founder, Dastro, who has been a friend of mine for a while before Compete even started. He hit me up right as kind of COVID was kicking off in 2020. And, he's a 20-year, like, diehard NBA 2K player, played professionally in Fortnite. Like, the guy is a gamer, like deep in his soul. And, he hit me up and he was like, you know what, man, like they botched the release this year. And I think this is actually the year that like all of my gaming friends, like my whole circle of gaming friends from the last 20 years is like, it's going to fall apart because I got to try to convince these guys to pay $70 for the new game. The rewards are like the same thing that we won last year. Like they got a bunch of stuff they purchased last year on their account that now is just going in the digital dustbin. There's no crossplay with mobile, and the list went on, but those were some of the big ones. And he was like, the gaming industry it's so damn broken. And like, there's these big problems. And like, it's always the players that kind of get like the shit end of the stick, excuse my language. But, he was like, I just don't understand like why someone doesn't just come in and like throw a punch at these guys, right? Like, why doesn't someone just build a game that like people actually would want to play? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, why don't you do it? And he's like, I've been thinking about it. And, to his credit, he wasn't like a game developer, right? He had built a bunch of software for a marketing company that I was working for. So there was obviously like a background in like, hey, how do we build this? But specifically for a game, like there was a lot of learning to do. And, he put in the work. He got in touch with people that had, built mass market games, had gotten onto console, which was a big goal of his, which we should be doing in the next couple of months here for PlayStation and Xbox. But he really like put his shoulder to the grindstone, and a month or two later, he's like, dude, we're doing this for real. And I'll never forget, he said, I'm not leaving my basement until this game's a success. Now, I think he's probably left his basement a couple times in the last 4.5 years that we've been building. But man, if it's more than like a dozen or two, I'd be surprised. Like that guy lives in his basement, grinding 18 hours a day. And we've had really the same kind of core group that's been building this from the start. And I think the mentality is really what I mentioned. Like, we're sick of games that really just, they're kind of out to like fleece players as best they can,
Yep.
And so yeah, we're trying to switch things up and kind of like, set a new standard for what people should expect.
Yeah, I love that answer because it really makes me think of like back in the day when I had gaming buddies and like the kind of dilemma that you kind of described, like to get the full experience of the game, you got to spend X amount of money. And I remember like getting hyped about Destiny 1, and then out of nowhere, like I found that the game was like kind of like shoveled a lot of the detail and game out of it just to repackage it as DLC. So I understand where you're coming from there. And to me, it just feels like a lot of these games just don't care about their fans or the people that play the game. They just care about the bottom line. So it's kind of sad to see that. I do want to shout the chat out here. What up, DeFi? He said, let's fucking go. Ramen and Hado lit. These bros cook. Thank you. Ramen, you agree? We cook? We cooking right now?
We cooking, baby. We cooking.
Hell yeah. JK putting up, we're all going to make it. Is that like League of Legends? Well, yeah, Pikachu. Well, what is the middle character? He looks like Echo from League of Legends. I think it is. Not sure. DeFi also says Japlo face reveal. Is this your face reveal?
Here I am.
Oh shit! Look at that.
When DeFi Zoo Racer face reveal? No, I'm just kidding. We see you on X all the time, my friend.
Yeah.
When can we get a break from? No, I'm kidding. Yeah. So unfortunately, there's no Discord today, DeFi. So yeah, sad face.
And I sent everybody there. I'm sorry for the post. If you're reading that post, that said,
yeah. We have a post here or a comment here. It says Dastro X Moonbags X Jablo is the only 3-headed Hydra of Compete. Hell yeah. We also have Pro the Pope live. He said this. I don't know. This
Man,
is
chat is lit.
He's referring to the previous comment. Got it.
You got a good crew of people coming through here.
Yeah. And then DeFi, what is this link for manifesto.compete.game? What is that link?
So we just put this out last week. I would consider it similar to a white paper, except a little less nerdy, a little less technical. It's kind of a big picture overview of like, hey, here's what we're building with the game. Here's what we're building with the game economy. And then there's a pretty detailed roadmap in there as well, along with like a bunch of downloadable assets, high quality assets in case you want to put out more compete content. But if you're trying to get like a really good overview of everything we're doing in like maybe a 5-10 minute read, that's where you want to go.
I love that. And, white papers feel like, I remember you guys back in the day, we get like the game cases and stuff. There's like an instruction manual in there. And some of them were kind of like full of art and cool shit. And then some of them were just like straight to the point. This is left, this is right, up, down, you know what I mean? So like, to me, it's like the white paper is like your instruction manual to your Web3 game. And like, you have that opportunity to like have something that kind of like stands out and kind of like is beneficial to the user rather than just like a bunch of information that people are just like, too long, didn't read. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. Like the white paper, I kind of see as like more for the guys who are really interested in like the tokenomics, right? And like all the specifics. That's great. And we have one of those and that information is out there. But like we've just kind of realized like the average gamer, they could be real interested in the game economy and have no idea what like 3/4 of that stuff means. And so we wanted something that like you could just send like, your average Joe who's coming through and just likes video games, and kind of give them a little bit of a taste of what we're doing without like totally bogging them down with these, math and details and stuff like that.
I would say I've always said that real gamers don't do tutorials. So the white paper is part of the tutorial. Just kidding. We also have Julian here who says LFK. Oh, let's fucking compete.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. I was like, LFK, what is that?
Yeah.
And then JK said, here to listen about the mobile build of Compete. Been hoping to play or been able to play on my Android with less issues.
I hear you, man. No, that's a long-term goal for us for sure. Man, the mobile is really tough when you want to do cross-play with like a PC game or a console game. Trying to create one game that works on all devices is challenging. And the mobile is especially kind of tricky because there's so many different devices out there. So like Android, I think the last time we looked, there's like 6,000 different specific devices that we could limit for the Google Play Store. And they all have, like kind of similar specs, but, just like a car, like 300 horsepower engine in a Corvette runs a lot different than in, I don't know, pick another car. But so what I'm saying is like all the specs aren't necessarily created equal, but yeah, it's definitely our goal. Like we want mid-tier phones and maybe even eventually low-tier phones to be able to run Compete. I will say like our kart race is real nice on even mid-tier mobile phones. The BR though, you need a little bit more RAM right now.
Must be even more intense for like all the PC builds, because I bet there's even more PC builds than like different types of phones. But yeah.
It's an endless rabbit hole. It really is.
For sure. And then we have like a disagreement between JK and DeFi in chat real quick. Who reads manuals and watches tutorials? Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And then DeFi said, I love manuals and tutorials. DeFi, you just love information to read and to read out loud. That's what it is. You just like hearing your voice. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to. DeFi, of course, you read them to help us out with text issues. See, exactly. This guy is like a tech support kind of guy. So like he has to get all the information so he can help people out. So I understand why he reads it all. But back to the questions here. You're currently in early access with 150,000 players. What has the response been like so far?
I would say like anything in like gaming or Web3, mostly positive, but of course, like a little bit of a mixed bag. I think Compete has the advantage of having a lot of different stuff going on. So like, it's hard to get, any 2 or 10 or 150,000 people to really like agree on, what the best game is or how something should work or, what's important to them. So we're kind of trying to just stick with some basic stuff and offer people a whole range of different experiences, and kind of let them settle into whatever they, kind of vibe with. So I think overall, like our response has been great. 150,000 players says something. But we're always also looking to improve. And really, I think honestly, we're kind of looking at the game right now as like a little bit of like our baby, like it's growing up quickly and, we're starting to get some traction and get more players in, but there's still so much stuff that we want to do that, we're really kind of looking at this as like a long roadmap. And, we got a lot of stuff to prove before we're too concerned about like, oh shoot, someone might not like this or, they may not like that. We're not really expecting like rave reviews yet. But no, they've been good. We love hearing that people are having fun playing our game because that's what we built it for. So.
Yeah, and a lot of the players that came in to compete, at least from Raman's perspective, he's been telling us these are players that are not native to blockchain or Web3. Like they just discovered the game, I guess, just browsing, the launcher or just finding a new game. Somehow they just started playing it. So like that was interesting to me. Is like get to that player century mark with like a number of players that don't even know Web3 exists. That was interesting.
What's really amazing, and I think honestly, like the Web3 gaming world is sleeping on this a lot, but it's really telling. Our biggest tech support right now, like the kind of like nagging issue that our players have that we're trying to do a better job educating on, is like, hey, how do I create a wallet to collect my tournament winnings? So like we send out like, little bags of Compete token if you place in our tournaments. And we have so many guys coming in who don't know what a crypto wallet is, but they, not only are they now interested, but they need to figure out like, okay, how do I get the wallet? How do I use the tokens? What are tokens? It's a really like, we like to look at things on the scale of like, are they good problems or bad problems? And, this is like a great problem to have. It's a problem, but it's a good problem. And I think you're right. Like we don't really get picked up too much by like the traditional like Web3 influencer crowd. We've kind of been a little bit under the radar. And truth be told, a lot of our marketing that we have like paid for is targeting traditional gaming audiences. So we know that like to be the size game that we want to be, we're going to have to tap in beyond just like kind of the Web3 guys. And so, right from the start, we're like, hey, we got to make sure that we have what it takes to succeed there, because if we have what it takes to succeed there, like we kind of figure like, the Web3 side of things comes along. We think that the whole ecosystem is well designed and is kind of set up for success. But, we're solely focused on like, hey, we want to be a mass market game. So we got to put ourselves out there right off the bat. And, yeah, that's what we're seeing happen is, a lot of guys are coming through from all different walks of life, not just Web3.
Love that response. Love it. We got a lot of people in the chat today. Shout out to, or is it Kirby Dies said LFK. We also got a chat here from, I'm gonna call you Ty because you got a bunch of different letters there. He says, hey, and they're talking about an axe tourney.
Hey, yo.
What is that?
There's a little bit of a debate going on right now in the compete world, because the axe, like the melee weapon that you spawn with, it's like the only weapon you have when you first drop in. Mm-hmm. Some people would say it's pretty overpowered. So a lot of people have been pushing like, hey, let's just get an axes only tournament. They're pretty fun, like in close quarters, kind of gets the adrenaline racing a little bit. So yeah, I'm guessing that's what he means there.
And I really want to highlight the importance of what Web3 gaming / indie / whatever you want to call it is offering a early gamer base. Is like you get to talk to like the person who's making the game, right? And not only that, like they're making an ecosystem behind the game. Like this is what Web3 is all about. It's like kind of like that community-led effort, right? And the fact you guys all pull up here and all know about this stuff and like even have like your own little meta of like debate between what item is better than the other. That's the good problem to have, right? Where a lot of game companies in Web3 are looking for players. So shout outs to you guys for going the Web2 route, because you mentioned earlier, like if you want to be the size that you want to be, you got to go out to Web2 because Web3 doesn't have enough players, right? So yeah, shout outs to you guys for that, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. No, I think you're spot on there. There's a real culture building around Compete, and it's totally crazy to watch it like take its own shape. And, we release items into the game and they kind of adopt like a life of their own from our community. And yeah, it's been totally crazy to watch. It's really, really rewarding. So yeah, shout out to all the community that's out there. We love you guys.
Love that for you guys. We also got a comment here from Pseudo. Says Axe is not OP. And then we also have a comment here from I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right now. I'll just say sir. So sup fam, what's up? Welcome. Appreciate you guys pulling up to the stream tonight. And we also have a question here from DeFi. I think this is a fair question. When custom games?
As soon as possible, in my opinion. No, I think actually DeFi is a really good example of this. But players will drop into compete, and especially in the BR, like my mind immediately goes to like, okay, like grab a gun, start to eliminate everyone and try to win, right? And that's just like, that's how my brain's programmed. DeFi, on the other hand, finds all sorts of crazy ways to entertain himself and his friends while playing compete. And a lot of the times it totally veers outside of the traditional game loop that we, built the game for. And so that's where I think like these custom games have just a ton of opportunity in them. We actually had one guy, shout out to Andy Slaps, who he's setting up like a 1v1 league. And, they'll get like 6 guys in the gym and they'll set up a bunch of props and organize 1v1s. And if anyone comes in and tries to mess with them, all 6 of them just beam this dude and get him out of there. Kind of like protecting their space and creating a custom game out of an area that, isn't technically a custom game. So no, to answer the question, I would say as soon as possible. Not to get too nerdy or into the weeds with it, but really the challenge is just in the number of servers that need to be available to host any number of custom games. Right now, our matchmaking is super predictable. It starts every 2.5 minutes. The players come in. This is obviously going to change as our player base continues to grow. But when you include stuff like custom games, it's like now we need to have a whole bunch of extra servers online. The server scaling needs to be a lot more efficient. So there's just there's a couple like technical challenges that we're going to have to kind of clear the hurdle on before we can do it really well. So it's just a matter of like squeezing it into this list of other stuff that we're trying to do.
Love that answer so much. Chat, everyone take a deep breath. We got a lot of questions to go through today. We've only gone through 2 questions on our list of questions, by the way. A lot of these questions have come up through chat and just conversation. So do want to mention one more audience question before we move on to the next question here. Any information on new basketball game?
Yeah, we're in I don't know if this is necessarily new. It depends on kind of how tuned into compete you are. But we're trying to put out a beta for our basketball game mode in the next few months. I even want to say a couple of months. The specific date gets a little bit fuzzy, just depending on like how far we want to take it before we put it out into the world. But this basketball game mode has been in development now for well over 2.5 years, including like I spent so many afternoons in the gym learning motion capture, working with a basketball player. We've got like hundreds of custom animations that are getting put into the game right now. So yeah, the next step for basketball is to get it out into the world, get some feedback on it. And that'll probably be a more limited beta release, probably on our developer build. I'm not exactly sure how we're going to run it yet. We're still thinking about the logistics, but that's kind of the plan for that, at least.
All right, so I don't see this question on the list of questions, but I'm going to ask it real fast. Could you mention something about what sounded like it could be UGC? So are you guys going to implement UGC? Because like what you described, like a bunch of dudes getting in the gym and like fighting one-on-one, just sounded like, what if like there was a day where you could build the world that you want to compete in and then do your 1v1 duels there, right? Is there anything there?
Yeah, I don't want to shut the door on it. I also want to say like we're working on it right now, because it's not something that we are like actively building right now, but I think it's got a lot of potential and we certainly would like to do it. The one thing I'll say about UGC, and I've said this a bunch over the last few years, and people either like totally agree or they totally don't agree. So I'll be interested. But I feel like most of the time UGC is done kind of poorly by games. And I feel like a little bit stuck. Like, like I got like a couple of Legos and like maybe they don't all fit together even or something like that. I just feel limited, and I get like a kind of a half-baked product out of it with way too much time spent. So I think if we do UGC, we want to make sure that like we're giving people a really cool sandbox with a bunch of toys that work nicely and kind of like make the game look good, number one, and number two, are like actually something people can use and like get value out of. So if we do it, we're gonna like do it right, and it's not just gonna be like, add it to the list of stuff we did type thing.
For sure. There are more audience questions, so we got to get to the list of questions here. I will read your comments here as they come in. And the next question here does say, let's talk about your all-in-one approach. How did you guys decide on which game modes to include first? And why did you start with Blitz Royale and then Kart Race and then Social Deduction?
Yeah. So just to give you guys, I guess, like a little bit of an overview about Compete, we consider ourselves a realistic game platform. So other platforms that we would compare ourselves to are like Roblox or Fortnite. Now, both of those kind of like veer off in a different direction with that UGC. But both of those games have specific curated game modes that are put out by the development team that are nicely polished and kind of stand on their own, right? And so that's always been our vision, is to have standalone game modes that, people, for instance, for the Battle Royale or the Blitz Royale, like they're going to feel okay leaving Call of Duty to come play Compete's Battle or Blitz Royale because they're like kind of scratching the same itch. You know what I mean? Now, the platform idea kind of goes back to one of those things that Dastro had on his list of issues, with most games these days. He really hates having to jump back and forth between battle passes. So like, hey, I'm grinding my battle pass on NBA 2K, and now I'm going to go grind the battle pass on Fortnite. We wanted a unified progression system so that like, regardless of what you feel like playing that day, maybe your bros want to play Blitz Royale, maybe they want to play basketball, maybe they want to go just chill and kart race. It should always be like towards the same goal, if that makes sense. You shouldn't have to like get off the game, go fire up a new account. And so that's kind of the idea of where the platform came from. Now, how the games get picked, Blitz Royale got picked because, it's one of Dastro, I almost called him Justin, Dastro's favorites. It's also probably the most played game mode worldwide, like well over hundreds of millions of players that'll download and jump into a BR. So it's super well known. We kind of consider that the top of the funnel, at least right now. So like we get players in with the BR, everyone will come try it. We hope they stick around for other game modes they like, basketball, kart racing, social deduction. And really all of them currently have big barriers to entry. So there's not really a good realistic simulation basketball game other than NBA 2K, where you've got a player builder and you've got modular animations and all this kind of stuff. So we're looking to kind of like, as I said before, throw that punch at game modes that are kind of getting away with murder right now, with their player base. And a lot of them have player bases that are not happy. You go to like NBA 2K, this last release was actually one of their better ones. And still, like 6 months later, like people are ready to burn down Take-Two. Like they're so mad. And so we're kind of looking at it from the angle of like, where's the opportunity? What are the games that, Dastro liked playing or I liked playing, or people on our team are interested in building. We kind of like, take all those things, evaluate them, and then decide which direction to go.
Love that answer.
Kind of what I'm in the opposite side of that. Yeah, like I noticed, there are all these game modes, right? And I think that was you're saying you wanted them to work like standalone, but I think there's like a notation of like a negative sentiment towards games that attempt to really be all inclusive or like overly ambitious, right? And so I don't know if that like echoes like a broader critique of the industry where bigger scope doesn't necessarily translate to like better quality or enjoyment for players. So what do you think is going to be like different for Compete, like that differentiator? because I do understand like where they're coming from. So I figured it was like valid to say like, yeah, this is a kind of a first time, but it has traction.
No, I think that's a great question. And honestly, that's kind of like a hurdle that we set up for ourselves to clear. You know, we know that like when we got into building Compete and we wanted to be like an all-in-one gaming platform, it was going to be a lot of work. It was going to be super tough. A lot of people are going to doubt it along the way. And it was up to us to kind of prove people wrong, right? And so I guess the one thing that maybe a lot of people don't realize is that if you're building an entire online multiplayer game, like let's just take the Blitz Royale to start. You know, like that's a lot of infrastructure that goes on, especially, you know, behind the curtain to make the game work, whether it's the accounts, the authentication, inventory management, matchmaking, networking, the list goes on, friends list, voice chat. That's like 75% of what you got to build to make a game work. And it's like, well, why wouldn't we use that same back end to build the second game? Like, we don't want to like start from scratch to make a kart racing game next. And then, you know, we even take it a step further and we're like, hey, well, let's make sure that people can use the carts in the BR. And, you know, let's take some of those kart racing weapons and put them in the BR, vice versa. A lot of the locomotion, weapons, the map, all that stuff is used in social deduction. And so it's not necessarily like, you know, reinventing the wheel each time. It's more just like an evolution and kind of like taking this sandbox and seeing like what we can build with it, basically.
Yeah, I think it's funny because we always hear about, you know, networks and, you know, different economies and games from different chains trying to do this. It almost seems like you're just trying to like localize that experience to see how that kind of plays out, because that's exactly what we all wanted in the beginning, right? Was seeing, are these assets interchangeable? Like, is there some crazy bridging? Do I need to pay gas to do it? So now that I kind of take a step back and look at what you guys are doing, it's actually pretty smart, because if you can get that to work at a smaller localized scale, then you can maybe start having the conversations about, you know, compete with their own game building chain where they can make it easy. I don't know. And chat, no, there's no incoming. It's not going to be on Pump Fund. Don't go invest. I'm just saying maybe down the road, right? There might be something like that. Be like, hey, look, we've got a model that works. Now we can do this with other people. So it's actually kind of cool watching it all unfold before our eyes there.
Yeah, no, I think you're spot on. You know, I hear a lot of pipe dreams about like the metaverse, and people have these grand visions of what it'll be like. And to be clear, I think that someday that will exist. But I also think like baby steps are important to start. And, you know, I kind of consider what Compete's doing a little bit of a metaverse, in the sense that like your same character, your same, you know, account progression, your same locker with all the stuff that you've collected. You can use it in all these different game modes. And I think, at least for right now, with where the tech is, that's a lot more feasible way to deliver that metaverse type experience than to say like, hey, you're going to use your Compete assets in Grand Theft Auto or something like that. So I think, yeah, I think you're onto something there.
All right, I've got more, but we've got to get the next question.
Yeah. We're still in the first boss here. So I see a bunch of excuse me, a bunch of comments here. So we'll get to those in the next boss. Just got to keep moving along, chat. By the way, guys, the poll is live. So go look into the Twitch chat and the X chat. I'll be posting a link to those the poll area, so you guys can vote A, B, C, or D on how Diablo is doing on the first boss. We're going to move on to the second last question in this boss, and it says, Compete has a unique approach to character customization. Can you walk us through how your avatar system works and why you made inclusivity such a priority?
Yeah, well, this kind of comes back to one of the core ideas that Dastro had when he built the game. And that was like, hey, we want the whole world to feel welcome here. We want to build a game for everyone. Like, that's why we're cross-platform. That's why we're trying to be inclusive to mid-tier devices. We want you to come and have fun with your friends, no matter like who you are, where you come from, or what you like. And so to do that, we decided to do modular cosmetics. So that means like in a lot of games, you buy the whole outfit at once. Maybe you can change, the shield on your back or something like that. But it's not like you can piece everything you own together in any combination you want. That's kind of a unique feature about Compete. But it was really important that we let people do that. Like if you own, the Make NFTs Great Again hat, you should be able to wear it no matter what shirt you want to wear. You know what I mean? And we think that drives a lot of value to the assets themselves. Like they're not locked up in some specific outfit. And it keeps things fresh. It keeps things creative. If you run around and play Compete, like everyone looks different. Unless you're a total noob, unless you just started and you don't have anything unlocked yet, which is also cool. Everyone starts somewhere, but the idea was generally to just like let people's creativity really blossom and bloom and be who they want to be. And so it started with just the male character model. We just added the female. We spent a whole bunch of time doing 20 plus hairstyles for each. It's funny. We have like this fade that's available for the guy's character model. And someone was like, hey man, that looks kind of like a 3 and not a 1 on the side. And people are looking at these details and they're, kind of connecting with them. And they're like, hey, I wish it looked a little bit more like my hair, but at least it's kind of close. Right. And so that's kind of what we were going for is like, we want you to connect with your character. We want you to kind of feel like it's you in the game. And, it takes all different types of people to make a good community. And, we want to make sure everyone, finds their vibe, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. Love that answer. We're going to move, we're going to answer some questions here from chat before we move on to the last question here. There was a question here above that said, where was it? Okay, so this is kind of a basic question, but I guess like minimum PC requirements.
That's kind of tough, but in general, really low. So we've got this cool thing. You can actually run Compete on your PC. I should start by saying we're Windows only. So if you're on Mac, you're on Linux, it's not going to work out for you. But you can play on like a pretty potato PC. We've got something called mobile rendering, which is an option in our settings. And it basically allows you to run the mobile build of Compete on your computer. And so we've seen people do that with just like an integrated graphics card, not a standalone graphics card. You can run it on I don't think you can run it like on a Chromebook, obviously. You need to be able to like download the game and whatnot. But man, regardless of what computer you got, try to fire up Compete and I think you'll be surprised.
All right. And there was another question here from, I believe he pronounced his name, Sir Choice. Any IRL events, cyber cafes on the horizon?
Now, not that's on the schedule, but I haven't heard that suggested anytime recently, and I'm going to think about it. I'm going to figure out how we can do that because that sounds fun. I would love to meet a lot of the people in our community. There's a few like Web3 weirdos that kind of make me a little bit nervous. I'm sure you guys understand. Yeah. But in general, like the people that hang out around Compete are so cool that, man, I would love to do an in-person event one way or another.
Love it. Asking you receive. Hey, Ramen, closed mouths don't get fed, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Right. That's that line. Closed mouths don't get fed.
If you ask when enough, you get what you want. That's the secret of Web3.
There you go. Also, welcome to the program. Go. What's going on? We have a question here from Kirby Dies that says, is trios all we can expect in regards to Battle Royale for the foreseeable future?
No, I don't think so. For foreseeable future, there's definitely a future that I see where solos, which is probably the most popular request, comes into play. For right now, smaller player base, to fragment it out between solos and trios would just mean more bots in the lobby and longer queue times. So for now, like we're keeping it as built with the redemption and the trios. But I don't see a reason why we wouldn't do solos and other variations really even beyond that in the foreseeable future. I just don't know. It kind of depends, honestly, like how quickly our player base scales, really.
Alrighty, and then this one says, state of game tomorrow 2 for more answers, questions regarding compete. So just a little reminder there from one of our chatters here. And then I think that's all the questions. I think we're caught up here. Just some comments here of like, no axe, count me out. Modular cosmetics are great for building your own identity in game. Awesome. Oh, what's up, JGB? Can't listen, but here to show my love. Appreciate that. We appreciate your support, my friend. And then shout outs to Kobe. He says, still yet to try it out. Not gonna lie, we'll download once I'm back from Hong Kong. Oh,
That's
Hong Kong. Nice, dude. Enjoy Hong Kong. Be safe. Have fun. All right, I think we're caught up. You guys in chat are very active, so I'm doing my best to facilitate your comments and get the questions underway. This is the last question in boss number 1, and we spent a long time on boss number 1. Sorry about that. But
Okay.
You recently launched your version 53 with several updates. What has been the community's response to these changes, particularly the Tesla coil in Blitz Royale?
Yeah. I think the reception has been good. There was kind of it had been the same selection of utility items for a while. So I think, people get a new opportunity to try something new. And, they're always going to argue about like, should it be stronger? Should it be, should it stop the storm? Should it be 4 capsules or 7? So we get a lot of feedback on it right away, which is great. But I think overall, like the reception's been super good. One cool thing about the Tesla coil is that axes actually bounce off of it from the outside. They like ricochet. And I've been saying the first person that puts up a clip of a ricochet kill with the axe is getting something super cool for me because, I just want to see it. So if you're watching this and you're looking for a challenge, make it happen and shoot me a DM or post it on X and tag me. But no, I think the reception's been good and maybe a little bit of alpha for you guys. The next 3 updates, the next of which should be coming really in the probably not this week, but early next week or maybe even over the weekend, is going to have another utility item. And I think the next 3 updates actually all have new utility items for the Blitz Royale. So there's going to be a whole bunch of new things to try out, learn. Man, I wish I could spoil what they are, but you're going to have to stay tuned. Yeah, no, I can't do that. I can't do it.
I was going to say, this is the show to do it if you want to spoil it. All right. Well, that is going to conclude boss number 1. Funny comment from DeFi. It says his challenge is ghost ride the whip and get knocked with it. Preferably ghost ride the whip off a jump. Interesting.
I'm going to leave that to you, DeFi.
Yeah,
that sounds
DeFi.
like a good job for you.
Maybe you should have kept that one up here.
Kirby.
So you don't try to steal your tactic.
Kirby pushing. Give us a little hint. Just a little.
Yeah, look at that face. You can't say no to that face.
At least 2 of them are coming from the kart race. That's a hint.
Hey, it happened. We've
There
extracted.
you go.
Thanks,
You
Kirby.
pried it out of me.
All right, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is our little badge announcement. All right, the badge is now live. I'm going to bring up a little page here. Ramen, can you tell us what that badge is all about?
Man, this badge is something that you do not want to miss. And plus, it's my favorite 4-letter word price. It is absolutely free, folks. So make sure you go and collect this Soulbound badge, Compete, to let you know that you support Compete and also you support Catalyst. Now, it's not just a badge you're just going to collect and keep back in the back of some digital vault. No, this badge is going to be used for upcoming utility in some Catalyst products. And make sure that you vote today, too, because if Jablo wins today, he also get something sold out to the account that will also have some value in the ecosystem, but it's up to you. So make sure that you vote in the polls today, or else he'll forever go down in flames in history and never come back on Boss Battles again. I'm just kidding. No. But get that badge. It's a free.
Those claps are for you, my friend Ramen. Good job on the spiel. And look, I've collated my badge. That's how easy it is. Just log in, claim the badge, boom, easy. Dang, I clicked off of like the comment section, and I clicked back on it, and there's even more comments. You guys are going nuts, man. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Today. Probably the most we've had in a long. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Keep up the great work, guys. We are going to transition to our next boss, and Ron will be calling the shots on this one. Production, take it away. And Ramen, if you see any questions in the chat, feel free to read them out.
I'll try my best. We'll see. All right. No, I'm just kidding. We're definitely going to like these boys. Boss number 2.
Am I taking on all 3 of those baddies?
Yeah,
yep.
You got. There's more too. There's more.
Dang, it's getting serious in here.
But wait,
listen, hide your ledgers. Hide your ledgers. All right. Question 1, boss number 2. Compete is built on Unreal Engine 5. What challenges have you faced in optimizing performance across PC, mobile, and console platform?
Yeah, so I think we announced this publicly. If we didn't, here's the announcement. We just finished up migrating to Unreal Engine 5.5. So, it went Unreal Engine 4, 5, and then, between those major versions, they do, 0.1, 0.2, etc. So we love Unreal Engine. We've been building on Unreal Engine since 4.2.3, I think, for a while, for years now. And it's been really good for doing the whole crossplay thing. So like you mentioned, we've got PC, we've got mobile. We're going to have console here shortly. And each of them kind of speaks their own language a little bit. Now, they all work together pretty well. But there's a lot of work that you need to do specifically, and especially for mobile, to get it to work nicely with everything else. So one of the challenges that we've had with mobile, which is something that I mentioned a little bit earlier, is just that, like, most games, like, okay, think Call of Duty, right? They got a standalone game for Call of Duty mobile, and those dudes have like hundreds of millions of dollars to build with. So they did that for a reason. And it's because, like, if you make a dedicated mobile game, you can really like dial in everything specifically for mobile, like from the foundation up. We kind of have like an all-in-one foundation that's tweaked specifically for each of our builds. Unreal Engine does a good job letting us make that happen. But it's not without its challenges. Right now in Unreal Engine, there's kind of like a mobile rendering issue that affects all games. It's not like just a compete thing. And it's well known. Like if you go dig around on Reddit or something, you'll find info about it. But it's something that we're kind of like stuck waiting for a fix for. So we found ways to work around it, and we've done a pretty good job, bringing in those mid-tier mobile phones, even, in the midst of this kind of larger issue with Unreal Engine. But that's just kind of the name of the game, right? Like cutting edge tech, right on the bleeding edge of what's possible. You're kind of limited to the tools that you have at hand. And so I don't think there's like a better engine, frankly, but it still doesn't mean like it works perfectly. So it's a real challenge to do the crossplay with mobile. There's a reason most games don't do it.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on that. I remember who was that I spoke to recently? Another really cool game of Variants, and I asked the same question, and they just ended up building their own engine. They said it's much easier to work with, and they said, when it comes to scalability, they're in control. They're not at the hands of whatever develops and updates. And I was kind of blown away with that. But baby steps, right? Maybe Compete Engine. Somebody's like, dude, that thing works great. We want to try to build on that same. That's what I'm saying. I took a step back and started to look at what you guys are doing. And I said, okay, maybe there's a cook behind all this. So it's actually really cool to see all that come together.
I have so much respect for anyone that's trying to build their own game engine. Like, it's one thing to build a game. It's real hard. I can't imagine building a game engine. Like, props.
Talk to those guys over at Variants. It's a sweet, like,
Crazy.
you couldn't tell the difference if it was console. It's browser based too. It's wild how good it plays.
Wow. That's super cool. That's
Yeah.
super cool.
Definitely. All right. Next question. Your game economy bridges Web 2 and Web 3. Can you explain how the convert system works for players who want to transition their items to blockchain?
Yeah, totally. So, as you mentioned, we don't consider Compete technically just a Web3 game, but we're not a Web2 game either. And, you know, I like to say that Compete is a game with Web3 versus Web3 with a game. And I think there's a big difference between those. So, Convert is kind of the tool that allows us to make that a reality, right? So if you come in and you download Compete, you're not going to know that it's a Web3 game unless someone tells you. So you sign up for an account just like any other game. You can start playing for free. You don't need an NFT. You don't need a wallet. You don't need a token. You can start playing. You're going to start earning cosmetics as you play through Fame. Maybe you pick up the ticket and you earn a few extra ones along the way. For a lot of players, that's where they want their gaming experience to start and end. And that's totally cool with us. On the other hand, as mentioned, Dastro is really adamant that, like, hey, if I want to like sell this skin that I have to someone, I should be able to do that. Or, hey, my brother plays Fortnite now. Like, why can't I send him my stuff? You know, and like from the perspective of a game developer, I understand why a lot of games don't do that. But from, again, trying to be a game that puts power back in the hands of the players, it was important for us to make sure that we allowed for that. And there are like, you know, fiat based options. You know, Counter-Strike does it. You can see the Steam marketplace, but they're not really inclusive to the whole world. And again, like, we want everyone everywhere to be able to play Compete. So that should count whether or not you have access to banking or anything like that. So, you know, decentralized via Web3 is the way that we chose to go. And that was in the face of pretty strong headwinds. You know, we decided to commit to Web3 back in late 2021. Our token and therefore our ecosystem on Web3 really launched in early 2022. And at that time, it was not like a popular decision among 90% of gamers. And it's still not a popular decision among many of them. And so what Convert does is it allows you to take any of the items that you've earned in game or that you've purchased in game using VULA, which is like our traditional game currency. And you can turn them into NFTs on our website, and then therefore you can earn them, or you can trade them, you could transfer them, you know, whatever you want to do with them. They're officially yours. So, you know, we keep coming back to this idea that ownership is not objectionable. Like, people hate crypto and they hate blockchain and gaming because a lot of developers just use it as like an additional way to squeeze them, and they've been squeezed plenty hard already. So Convert is totally optional. You don't ever have to convert your stuff. But if you want to own it, you can. And that's kind of the basis behind, you know, how we built our system. Was like, the Web3 component is a very important part of our game, but it needs to remain optional or we're not going to have much of a player base. You know, there is a lot of friction that needs to be overcome. And, you know, the only way that we're going to do that is by letting people come in and only like getting into the Web3 side of things when it's actually like worth it to them, because like no one likes to be forced into something they don't understand yet. Right. So that's been a really key component of what we're building, is that Convert system and the flexibility it allows you to come in, you know, thinking whatever you want about blockchain and crypto. And then, you know, jumping on board and getting involved like when you're ready. And there's no penalty for waiting. You know, like, we'll hold on to your stuff as long as you want. But when you decide you want to own it, like it's there for you to own via the convert system.
Thank God, right? They'd be like, yeah, if you don't claim it within 90 days, we're going to redistribute this all back to active wallet. Like, how many times has that happened in the industry
Right.
and airdrops and all that other stuff? But, I think your approach is right? Because, when you take the Web3 feature approach first, you already catering to a certain type of crowd, right? Because players play games, not players don't play features. So the fact that you're making this an option, when they find that this is something valuable enough for them to go through the process of doing, that's great. It's not like, welcome to Web3, MFer, swim. You're like, wait, what? No, I'm just here. Like, I heard about this on Reddit. Like, I'm just trying to shoot and doing whatever. So the onboarding process to that is great. I honestly think every single game should take that approach, that nice soft onboarding. And when people are ready and they want to be degenerates or they want to, trade an ecosystem, then let that be the option. But unfortunately, it seems like the marketing narrative push is always like feature first, token this, token that. And so I like the gamer approach, which is why I was, when we say it's a Web3 game, it blew me away with my conversations, asking people, how did they hear about this game? Nothing was ever from crypto Twitter. It was just gamers coming to games. So when they're ready, right? When they want to tell their friend, hey, you don't have this thing, and they realize scarcity is a real thing, you're like, would you like a fake tuxedo, sir? Well, great. I need you to do something for me if you want this fake tuxedo. So I love that approach. Love the answer. Super bullish on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Next question. Tell us about the Bazaar marketplace. What are some of the most valuable items being traded, and what trends are you seeing in player trading?
Yeah, hey, that's a really interesting question. So just to fill people in, if you don't know, the Bazaar is our secondary marketplace. So it's on our website. It's where players can trade items that they've earned or purchased in game with each other. It all runs on KOMPETE token, which is our ecosystem token that's available on Ethereum and on Base. And so, of course, the Bazaar is on Ethereum and Base as well. But really, kind of the idea of it is it's exactly what it's called. It's a marketplace, right? So one interesting thing that we've seen, let me rewind a little bit. When we first launched the Bazaar marketplace, that runs on KOMPETE token, there was a big and I think legitimate question among many in our community who are like, why wouldn't someone just go use OpenSea? Like, why would they go get KOMPETE token and use the Bazaar? Why wouldn't they just go use OpenSea like everyone else? Me personally, being the one that, did a lot of the design for our game economy, was like, well, there's all these reasons, right? And it was kind of hard to convey. And so when our Bazaar actually went live, which was months after our game assets were technically like able to be traded, they were on blockchain. We saw almost immediately that like 95, upwards of like now 99% of all trade volume is actually on the Bazaar. So it turns out, when people are given the opportunity to trade on our website, where they can, access the items that they want to list for sale on their locker in a nice, pretty UI instead of, digging around in their wallet on OpenSea, people like that. And really, the Bazaar that's on the website right now I don't want to call it like a beta because it's fully functioning and it works nicely, but it's very foundational, right? It's kind of our first crack at it. It was just meant to like make sure that all the fundamental stuff was working. Where the Bazaar is really going to separate itself out here is in all of the information that we can give people, which I like to say like reduces trade friction, right? So like the more information you have, the easier it is to evaluate what's a good deal, what's a bad deal, and like, hey, what am I interested in buying? So a place like OpenSea is never going to know how many game items are owned by people who haven't converted them yet. Like, hey, what's the supply of stuff that's not on chain yet? Only KOMPETE knows that. And we're going to tell you on the next iteration of our Bazaar. Hey, where did that item come from? Was it released in Fame? Was it released in the ticket? Was it in the game shop? When did it come out? That stuff is all on the Bazaar and it's not anywhere else. Hey, how rare is that sniper rifle? Is it the second most rare rattlesnake? Is it the fifth most rare? What about like global scarcity? Is it like the 22nd most rare item in the game ever? Again, like all that stuff really can only, we're really the only ones that are going to like take the time to curate all that information and thereby reduce all that trading friction. So that's kind of like the general pitch of like why the Bazaar, you know, like, hey, why did we build it? And as far as like what trends we've seen, it's really cool. Back in the day, like a year ago, we maybe had like 20 active players a day, and the games were a lot longer. The experience you were earning was a lot lower per game. And so in order to unlock like those top level ticket items or to complete the fame grind, you really had to be like a diehard compete guy. You know, like we didn't have a lot of players. We didn't have a lot of traction. The game was still very buggy. And people were still out there grinding like, you know, 4, 6, 8 hours a day to get this stuff. And so those are the items that have really kind of carried over and almost created like kind of like a lore, you know, in our game economy. So there's like the magma rattlesnake, right? That was the top reward from our second ticket ever. And it was super sought after, and it was really hard to get because the XP was slow at the time. And that's kind of like picked up a life of its own. There's certain stickers in our game, like Mad Sus Bro would be one of them. Shout out to Edmund, who I think probably helped make that popular, along with a few others. There's stickers in our game that are named after like prominent players at the time. So like Goose has his own sticker. Maverick's got his own sticker. The list goes on. But it's really interesting. Like the stuff that people really pick up on right now is totally based on vibes, because as I was mentioning, we don't have all those supply statistics available yet. That's coming in the next iteration of the Bazaar. So right now, like, yeah, people know a little bit about like kind of how rare stuff is, but a lot of it is based on like vibes and what people like right now. And stuff that like we didn't expect to be super popular is, and that's been really cool to see.
Weird how that works, right? They're going to do their own thing. And they listen, this is what's great. People are building their own economy on the stuff that they like, you know, like that's what's great about this. I had some comment. I popped it up earlier, but we were in the midst of it. But, you know, DeFi Bazaar is dope 2.0 soon. So, you know, DeFi, he's going to be excited about that.
He said, come at me, bro.
Yeah, he said, come at me. Goose is over here. Come at me, bro. And I mentioned something earlier. I don't know if you heard, but I swear there's a sticker that says ask your girl or something like that.
And a matching t-shirt. Yeah.
Whoa.
You know, there's here
a whole new level.
I realized this the other day. I think it might be a little bit too OP. We might have to nerf this in the game. But there's a sticker that says banana for scale with a banana and duct tape over it, like it's taped to the wall. And so I had that sticker equipped, and I had the ask your girl sticker equipped. And like, to be totally transparent, I get rocked when I play compete. It's so embarrassing, but I get rocked. And so really the only thing I'm good for is talking a bunch of trash as I'm down before they eliminate me. And so I was just throwing up the banana for scale sticker and then the ask your girl banana. And like, man, I tell you what, it made me feel better for like 5 seconds, but I realized like, you get the wrong person seeing that, and they might throw their controller through the screen. Like it might be a little bit too OP.
So worth it.
It's part of the game, man. You know, they'll deal with it, man. And you gotta say, the poll is live chat, so look at the chat. The links to the poll are there, so go ahead and vote. Also, I'm seeing a person here named Base. You may not be able to see his name, Ramen. He just scrolls to the top. Our comment section is kind of messed up here, but he said, I love the axe. So I guess he's team axe. And he also put a heart. And he also had to say, it is easy to buy ETH on Base and swap for Compete token to use on Bazaar. Piece of cake. And then he loves the Ask Your Girl sticker as well. So I just want to throw that out there.
Shout out to Base Rock, one of the true OGs in our community. And shout out to Compete Comms, which is kind of an offshoot of our main community of like, you know, a lot of the diehard guys. They put it together when there was, again, like 20 players per day, and you really had to search for someone to play with. And man, that group's taken on a life of its own. So shout out to you, Base Rock. We see you out there.
Yeah. And Base Rock, the gaming name, kids, don't do drugs. Oh man. Oh, this is funny. I see Ramen drops to ask your girl on Lunardi from that last clip. I don't know. Lunardi always wrecks us, so we were so excited to go over and engage in some massive teabagging clips and dynamite throws. So that was fun. Shout out DeFi for doing that. Next question. You guys are running regular tournaments with compete token prizes. Like, how has that impacted player engagement, and what have you learned from these types of events?
Yeah, good question. A couple of things. People love to play when there's something on the line. So like our prize pools for these tournaments are not super big. I think that right now they're like about $245 worth of compete tokens split between the top 75 people. So like if you get first place, you're getting $20 a compete token. If you get 50th place, you're getting like $2 worth. Now, the reason that we do it that way is because we don't want to totally flood the market with compete token. You know, like if we're giving it away just for playing, like we're not trying to be, well, we're not an inflationary token. We're a locked supply. So that's number one. And number two, like we want there to be something on the line without like, you know, destroying the game economy in the process. And we found that like people are totally hyped up just to win something, to play for something. And it allows us to run a lot more of them. So we try to do 1 or 2 tournaments per week. And it's been the most effective onboarding of people into Web3 that we've seen, because people are like, hey, I just took, 20th place in this tournament. I won $3 worth of compete token. How do I collect it? What is compete token? And that sends them down, the whole cascade of events where they create a wallet, they connect it to their account, they learn about Convert. And it's really onboarded a lot of people into kind of the full game economy that we have built. So I think we'll continue to kind of follow that model, and hopefully people still like playing for it. But, it's been a big hit so far. So
that's good. Also, just a big shout out. I see a 621% and 24-hour volume on Compete. So things are cooking. Things are cooking. Like that. Yeah, I think shiny object, money, Web3, you get that crowd, skins and other things. I think that people, people haven't been saying they're cashing out compete token. They're just saying, I'm going to go to the bazaar and go buy skins, which is wild, right? Because usually it's like give out prize, immediate dump. But people are recycling it back into the economy. So there's something to be said about this game that we all thought, oh, well, this is going to be another whatever PUBG remake, and ends up being something that's totally dope with a huge economy, possibly a metaverse, maybe their own gaming engine. Who knows? It's getting wilder as we keep diving down to these bosses. But that brings us on to our last question for the boss, and then we're going to hop over to an ad read, and we're going to take a few more questions from the crowd, not through Discord, but maybe through chat. So make sure you chat, stay active, stay live. But last question, boss number 2. The game has both a Vula and compete token. Can you break down how these two currencies work together in your ecosystem?
Yeah, totally. So Vula is just like V-Bucks or any other traditional virtual currency that you get in a game. So if you want to unlock our ticket, which is kind of our version of a battle pass, you got to use Vula to do it. If you want to buy stuff from our limited time shop, just like in any other traditional video game, you got to use Vula to do it. And you buy Vula with any, credit card, debit card, PayPal. I think you can buy Vula with crypto. But it's kind of our standalone traditional, like, hey, if you're a regular gamer and you're coming in to compete, like it looks, feels, and acts just like every other virtual currency you've ever had. Now, compete token is I kind of call it like the gasoline of our Web3 game economy. So again, like the tournaments are paid out in compete token. There's certain items in our Divine shop which are only available for purchase with compete token. But the main utility of compete token is that it's what players use. It's like the liquid half of any trade on our bazaar, right? So like, if you want to buy something on the bazaar, you got to use compete token. If you're selling something on the bazaar, you're going to get compete token. And the reason that we did that really is the same reason that any country or any entity really makes their own currency, and that's to capture value in an ecosystem. And so, we could have picked USDT or USDC or, ETH or whatever. The list is now millions long. But people wouldn't agree on which one anyways. So we're like, okay, we're going to make Compete token. We set it up so that we have a little bit of control over the levers. We do have a small tax on the Ethereum side, which, especially when we were a younger game, was really helpful for us. But in general, it's our ecosystem token. And so over time, the goal is to add the faucets and add the sinks and really have this token flowing through our game economy and through our whole ecosystem to ideally A, capture value, and B, reward people that are taking actions which promote growth of the ecosystem. So not to get too off on a tangent, and I'm not going to get too off on a tangent here, but there's a number of ways that we're looking to reward people in the future with Compete token. And, that's going to come through a small tax on Bazaar transactions. I think it's set at 2% right now. We have a small percentage of Compete tokens set off to the side that the team holds, which will be used as ecosystem rewards and that kind of stuff. So the Compete token is really like, it's the gateway to the entire Web3 side of our game economy, and it's the liquid expression of value in that economy, really.
There it is, right there. That's we'll call Vula your starter bucks, and then when you're ready to go to the big boy table and play with the big poker chips, right?
That's right. That's right.
Well, when talking about Compete, and I don't know if it's on the roadmap, but in the foreseeable future, do you see something, as regulatory clarity comes, like in the US, like really simple, like fiat ons and off for those that are doing like competitive and say, hey, I just want to cash out Compete token later? Because I find that for me and for any games that have these like types of economies, some of the biggest friction points is not only now are you ready for Web3, but now are you ready to go connect and learn about bridging and things of that nature, right? So I find that there are some economies where, I could just use my Google Pay and then I just bought in-game currency. It was easy. Is that something that you see foreseeable down the road?
Yeah, definitely. So, man, I think you're totally spot on. The whole especially the on-ramping is really, it's got to be the biggest sticking point in crypto right now, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Especially for like the average person who's just coming in trying to grab some Compete token so they can grab that tuxedo t-shirt off the Bazaar. Like there's a decent amount of friction there. So I think it is improving. One kind of like big overall strategy that we're taking with that is trying to integrate ourselves with Coinbase as deeply as we can. So like we use their base layer 2. We have worked to get Compete token listed in Coinbase wallet. And so we're kind of trying to piggyback on Coinbase and pushing our chips in their direction, assuming that like if anyone's going to solve the on-ramping challenge best, it's probably going to be them. And so we're always looking for ways to set up, like a better on-ramp, probably not so much an off ramp, but especially an on ramp, like on our website. It's just been like, there's always some catch with it, right. I swear there's always some catch. So I don't know if it's going to be something that we have to build ourselves in the future. Honestly, I hope not. But it is something that we want to figure out for sure.
I would talk to JRP over at Third Web, and maybe there's like some solution thing with like Nebula.
I know him. He's a good dude. Okay, yeah. I'll have to get in touch with him again. It's been a while.
There might be something you might be able to work out using AI instead of the the typical whatever, pay your 3% and we'll do this for you, or MoonPay, which never seems to work for anybody. Those types of things.
It never works for me, man.
Anyway, that wraps it up for our boss number 2. Great questions. I'm going to pass it over to Hado. We're going to get into our ad read. Then we're going to take a few questions from the crowd and jump into our lightning round.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Ramen, check Telegram. We're going to go into our ad read. Let's go. Chat, yeah, I'm talking to you, chat. Did you guys know that Arbitrum's got some fire games for you to try out? From racing a kitty cart to battling in golden ties, Arbitrum's got it all. Want to be a pirate? Pirate Nation is calling you. Feeling adventurous? Explorer made you on the Xi L2 blockchain. Or if you're into strategy, Maelstrom on the Uprising chain is your jam. Don't take my word for it. Try it out for yourself and level up your gaming life on Arbitrum today. Warning, these games give you too much hype. Follow Arbitrum Games for more. Crypto Hot approves this message. Yo, I want to say a quick shout out to Drew Burt. Welcome in. He said, yo. Welcome. All right, so we're going to hop into a lightning round, and then we'll go into the last boss. We'll wrap up the show here rather quickly. So let's go into our lightning round. Now, for this segment, I will be asking the first 5 questions. It's going to be 10. And then Rob will ask the next 5. And this is not graded, so the audience will be voting on this. It'll just be like just a little cool down before our final boss here. Okay. So the first question says, if you had to remove one game mode from Compete right now, which would it be and why?
If I had to remove one?
Yeah.
It would have to be the social deduction, just because it's not played as heavily yet. But it would be a tough move because I really like the game mode and I think it's going to do well in the future.
For sure. Just take it down, fix it up, put it back online. What's the craziest bug you've encountered during development?
Craziest bug. Honestly, there's always some weird physics stuff that changes with every upgrade of Unreal Engine. And so wacky stuff will happen with the carts and how the wheels stick to the ground, and some of the physics change. So we've seen like crazy ragdoll physics. The ragdoll physics are a part of Compete anyways, but they'll get like, hyper exaggerated with certain upgrades to the engine, and we got to go in and tweak them. But in the meantime, it's chaos. You tap someone and they go like flying 5,000 miles away. So I would say that's probably the craziest.
Awesome. All right. She'll compete in your best game announcer voice for 30 seconds.
Shill it?
Yeah.
Alrighty, ladies, gentlemen, D-Gens, we have the all-new realistic gaming platform called Compete, now available on mobile devices, PC, and soon on console. So if you like to play Blitz Royale, you like to play kart racing, you like to play social deduction, or you just like to hang out in the lobby, Compete is the game for you. I don't know. Well done. Maybe you got some esport calling to do in the future for Compete. Who knows? Yeah, I hope not, man. But that was very awkward for me.
Most heated argument in the office about a game feature.
The biggest argument about a game feature?
Yeah, like within house Compete, like whoever is developing the game.
Yeah, totally. I would say the spawn rate of the sniper rifle is a very hot debate, and it's been going on for a while. Me personally, I'd like to see him a lot more often. Dastro, who's ultimately the guy that makes the choice, likes the way that the game is balanced with him being a little bit more rare. But that's definitely one that I don't know if it'll ever be resolved.
For sure. Okay, I was just reading a comment here from Base because they said like what, spot on Base, so like, exactly right Base. So like our things all messed up, so I had to go all the way to the top. Sorry. Okay. What's your personal best finish in a Blitz Royale match?
Personal best finish? I think I've gotten over 25 knocks before. Obviously, like won plenty of games, but I'll be honest, like I think I'm like 10 years too old to be competitive at Compete anymore. I go on to the tournaments now and I just get smoked. So
you're building a game called Compete and you don't want to compete? What is this?
No, I like to compete. I just don't like to lose, and I lose a whole bunch now.
I got you. I understand you, brother. All right, Rob, let's go take the next 5.
All right, and just so I could also chime in on this rattlesnake thing, I would also like RN Jesus to bless me a little bit more because I can barely find that thing in game. It's like 1 every 7 games, maybe inside of a warehouse in a vault that I never checked. So I just want to do that. Anyway, if you could instantly add any IP to compete, what would it be?
Man, it would have to be the Green Bay Packers, just because you can see the cheesehead here. I'm a diehard Packers fan, and Dastro is as well. So, man, if the Packers want to get involved with compete, we're welcome them with open arms.
You'd be the first. Well, I guess they did Fortnite skins for like all NFL teams, but like it'd be the first like officially licensed Green Bay Packers skin.
That's right.
Set for like compete, yeah.
They hit up A-Rod and they're like, "Hey, you want to relive the dream?" No. Oh man, what
A-Rod?
He's on the Jets now, man.
Yeah.
You mean Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
You said A-Rod, bro.
Yeah. So
It's not the same thing.
whatever.
A-Rod is a baseball player.
Oh, whatever. We don't talk. Nobody's talking about Alex Rodriguez no more.
I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant.
Thank you. We try to keep it competitive in here. Anyway, what's your go-to loadout in Blitz Royale?
Badger Hippo, all day.
Yo, the Hippo. I slept on the Hippo for the longest time. I realized you need that for homes.
Just don't aim down sight with it, or you're gonna miss. That's the
no. Hip fire all day, and then turn up that perk to like epic or legendary. You'd be okay.
That's right.
What's the most requested feature that you're definitely not going to add?
Most requested feature that we're definitely not going to add. Man, that's kind of tough. I would say a lot of people want to see a dedicated first-person gaming experience for the Blitz Royale. So like the locomotion happens in first person as well. I don't think we're going to do it. I totally get why people want to. I'm a big Halo guy growing up, like love first person shooting. But I think the third to first person transition is a lot of what makes our game unique. So I don't know that we're ever going to do like a dedicated first person.
That's fair. I wish it was, though. I wish it was. Next
You're
one.
not alone.
Yeah, I know. I was like, man, this would be really cool, like FPS. Best place on Mazuko Island to drop. Ooh, that's a rough one.
This is probably not like the right answer if there is a right answer. But over by Cliff and Sea, you can go land. There's like a dock down the cliffs, and it's got a whole bunch of safes down there, and you're not gonna get wrecked with an axe or anything. You're always going to be the only one to land there. So I really like landing there. And I also really like landing at the lighthouse.
Ooh, lighthouse.
Yeah.
50-50 on that one. All right. Last question for the lightning round. This is a fun one. Which team member would win in a real-life kart race?
Who would?
Who would win this? Real-life kart race from the squad. Who's winning? Who's from the team? Who's winning that?
Oh, I'm gonna go with me. I'm gonna put my name on the line and say I'm gonna win. Just because when I was younger, I had a real bad habit of driving really crazy and too fast. So I had a little bit of practice, skirting around turns and stuff. I think I got it.
Man, I'm liking you more and more. What kind of car? Let me ask.
It was just a Jetta, and. Man, this is so embarrassing to be talking to you about this on the show, but my whole drifting street racing days ended really abruptly when I drove through the bay window of the neighbor of my girlfriend's house.
Oh, fuck. Yeah. I bet. Damn.
So, yeah, that happened. But, no, it was just a Jetta. It wasn't anything, super fun.
Yeah, I'm more impressed with the bay window thing than the Jetta. But yeah, that's
I really showed that window who is boss. Let me tell you what.
You're like, hello.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to be moving it on to boss number 3, the final boss. Folks, make sure you get your votes in today. We got to make sure the Jablo wins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get it. So on this boss, we are going to be alternating. Me and Ramen. I'll ask a question, then he'll ask a question. And the first question says, "You mentioned a secret game mode in development alongside basketball. Can you give us any hints on what's coming?"
Can I give you any hints on what's coming? I really want to give you something, so let me think about this for a second. It's going to be it's been in development for a long time. We actually discussed it way back in the early days. So it's not going to be exactly what we were discussing then, but if you were around like day 1, day 2, the first couple of months of Compete, you probably heard us, talking about it a little bit. It's going to be a lot less rigid than any of our other game modes. So not quite like a custom game, but it's going to be a lot less rule based. And really, the goal is to make sure people have a lot of opportunity to just like use the stuff that they've collected, right? Like more opportunity to show off the cool stuff they've earned or collected or traded for.
Is it going to have a little element of high risk, high reward with that as well?
No, there won't be any like risk reward really tied to it. It'll probably be like the least competitive of the game modes, honestly,
Okay.
if I had to guess.
Gotcha. All right, Ramen, kicking over to you for the next question.
All right, question number 2. How do you plan to maintain a game balance when players can
No. Read the TG.
Wait, where am I at? Shoot, hold on.
Look at TG. Boss battle chat, where you said okay.
What's your strategy?
Yeah.
Got it. My bad. Wrong one. Sorry, Craig. I blame the interns for everything. What's your strategy for competing with established franchises like NBA 2K, especially as you prepare for global launch?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, with a game like NBA 2K, it's not charging $70 a year. That's going to be a big one. Crossplay with mobile. If you look for like a true, especially with a game like basketball game mode, but this also extends into the kart race and not actually to the Blitz Royale, but generally what we're trying to do is to provide kind of a more fair, more accessible, lower friction alternative to game modes that are squeezing their current player base really hard. So, you could pay $70 to go, collect a couple of things in NBA 2K. You're gonna have to pay $100 extra though to be competitive on the court, unless you want to grind with a shitty character for, I don't know, 100 hours or something. And oh, by the way, next year all your stuff is going in the digital dustbin, and you're gonna pay $70 to start over. And so, in a lot of ways, Compete is like a David versus Goliath story in that like we don't have hundreds of millions of dollars in funding. We don't have IP that's globally recognized. We're not running ads on Joe Rogan. But the offer that we're presenting, I think, is really intriguing to people who are sick of getting squeezed. And, it's our job to kind of like offer, like I said, a substitutable experience where people are like, hey, why am I going to go get fleeced when I can have pretty much the same experience over at Compete? I can play a bunch of game modes. My friends can join me regardless of what platform they're on. They don't have to pay. Like I don't have to convince my friends to buy the game so that they'll play with me. The list goes on, but there's really not anyone that's doing specifically what we're doing, even though certain aspects of our game look a lot like other games. No,
that was perfect. I just saw I was going to put this down here. It says,
yeah,
it's like biggest pain points of 2K. I am ready.
Yeah, me and Damien like 2K, so like we know all about the 2K cheese and the 2K. When you get one 2K, you're gonna get the exact same 2K every time. So
yeah, it's brutal, man.
Spend more money.
They've made such a cool game over the last 20 years too that it's such a shame. Really,
yeah,
it's such a shame.
I agree.
All right, kicking it over to the next question. Back to Hotto.
All right, and this is the last question of the show today. So be prepared, chat. By the way, there is a poll in the poll's out. I don't know why I said there's a poll in. The poll is out. Go look in the chat and go vote. This is the last poll of the show as well. So go ahead and vote. Question says, looking ahead 2 years, what is your vision for Compete, and how do you plan to achieve your goal of becoming the most played game?
Yeah, so 2 years ahead, we're going to be on Xbox. We're going to be on PlayStation. 2 years from now, I think our mobile optimizations will have gotten better, as well as like the average device in people's pockets will have gotten better. So I think the mobile experience is going to be a lot better 2 years from now than it is currently. And I think mobile in general is going to be a lot bigger of a deal now than it even is, or then than it is now. And it's a big deal now. So I think that, you know, to be the most played game, you need to solve a lot of pain points, and you got to do a good job at it, and you got to keep stuff fresh. So, you know, the last 4.5 years, we've spent a ton of time figuring out how can we get stuff into the game quickly. And I know that sounds like kind of like dumb and boiled down, but it's a really serious thing. Like those development pipelines are critical. And if they're inefficient, or people don't know what they're doing, or you don't have good people in each of the roles, you know, you can take something that is a really good idea and make it really painful to bring to life. We've done I think a really good job at setting ourselves up to be able to push a ton of new content really fast. We've got a lot of carryover from one game mode to the next. Our game economy is built to be super deep, especially with features like collection and the new Bazaar. Like there's going to be a lot of replayability, not just with the game, but with the game economy. And those ecosystem rewards that come with collection are going to give people a good reason to stick around. And so for all those reasons, I think like you're going to have to work. Our goal, at least, is that you're going to have to work pretty hard to come up with a reason to not play Compete over any of our competitors, and just to like beat up on NBA 2K a little bit more, because, you know, we might as well here when they're not here to defend themselves. But no, like I think that traditional gaming, you know, led by these massive studios who, you know, they're not like gamers that are making these decisions. It's like it's a board of directors that's responsible to their shareholders. They're not responsible to the players. And I think, unfortunately, like gaming, there's always like an indie scene that's going to exist. Indie devs, indie teams, you know, kind of putting out games into the world. But I think so much attention is getting concentrated to these big studios that just behave badly and treat their players poorly, that the gaming industry is just itching for someone to come and like throw a legitimate punch at them. And so that's what we're trying to do. And I think, you know, if we can do that well and we follow the plan and we execute on our vision, there's going to be a lot of players who don't really have a reason to go play something else. And that's our goal.
Love that answer. Gonna read some comments here. We play Compete because it's a great game with an awesome community. The Web3 aspect is a bonus. I do agree with that. You know, it's a little bonus there on the game there itself. They just want money for real. COD is a prime example. We were talking about like how they're just trying to be money hungry with gamers, you know. Kind of exploited us a little bit. You know, they know what we like to taste, but they don't really give us the full meal, you know. I can agree with that for sure. That is the end of all the questions here. The polls are closed. So usually we give like our guests like a reason why you should grab an A, but I think you've kind of handled these questions very, very thoroughly. So we're going to move on to the results portion of the show.
I'm nervous for the results, man. You guys really built this up nicely with the bosses. I really love what you're doing here.
For sure. Appreciate that. Well, we're going to find out right now how Jablo did on all of the bosses. Ooh, spooky music.
Yeah, my heart's racing over here.
All right. Turn this down a little bit. Chat. Lock in. It's time to find out how our guest did on the Boss's W battle, says the Pope. LFK says she's always K_Inc. Oh, never mind. I'm not reading that.
She's always something.
Got me. You almost got me. All right. On boss number 1, Jablo, you got 100 out of 100.
Whoa. Okay.
On boss number 2, Jablo, you got 100 out of 100.
Whoa. I'm liking the direction this is headed, guys.
DeFi, don't be fighting us.
Don't FUD.
And on boss number 3, you also got 100, which means you got 100. You just did 100, right? Right across the board.
Look at that. I think. Well, shout out to the people that voted in the right direction. Thank you very much. No, what a cool opportunity to come and like talk about something I'm real passionate about. You guys are super cool for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
No, you definitely displayed that today. Very thorough answers. If you didn't know about Compete before, you definitely know now because it was very informative. But yeah, is there anything in the immediate future that you guys got going on you want to like shout out or just point out? Now,
yeah, totally. So like DeFi mentioned, the Compete manifesto that we published is a really good resource if you're trying to get, big picture overview of really a lot of the stuff that we covered today. Specifically, I'd recommend going and checking out the roadmap. Now that roadmap isn't totally final. Stuff can always change, and it's also not everything that we're working on. There's other stuff as well, but it should give you a really good idea of like, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's what our goals are as far as when it's coming, and being released. So check that out if you're curious. I would say the state of the game tomorrow is a really good opportunity to hear from me, as well as Dastro and Moonbags about, everything that we've built over the last month, kind of what's coming up next. We do a bunch of AMA questions. So, if you're going to spend 1 hour a month on Compete, other than this show, of course, the state of the game is a good way to kind of stay in the loop, if you will. Other than that, we're just head down. We're grinding. We've got a long way to go before we're ready to kick our feet up and chill. So, expect the updates to keep coming. Update 54 should be coming, as I mentioned, in the next few days. And it'll be the first one on Unreal Engine 5.5. So we're pretty excited to get some feedback on that.
Pew, 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 pew.
I forgot to give you your claps in the chat for winning today. But yeah, shout out to our guest Jablo for pulling up, delivering all the great information. So now you guys can go compete. Okay.
Hell yeah.
I had to get one in there too, Robin. I'm sorry.
Let's fucking compete.
Guys, that's going to do it for us on this episode. I'm sorry, what?
There's more. Just really quick, I just want to shout out like I did in the beginning. Listen, if your name is Kirby Dies, I Drew Bird, Pro the Pope, Sir Choice, DeFi Zoo Racer, make sure you send me your base wallets on X because I will be sending you over some Compete tokens and hopefully you'll be buying some assets in game. That's it. Back to Otto.
Gotta get some more claps in chat for Ramen, my gracious co-host. Thank you so much for always being here. What's going on? Karai baby. What's up with all these names, man? Karai baby. I get it. You guys think you're slick? No, but shout outs to the Compete community as well for pulling up on X, on Twitch, on YouTube, wherever you guys were. You guys pulled up for sure. Shout outs to you. You guys deserve a round of applause for yourself. So I'm gonna do one more clap for you guys. Yes, sir. You guys definitely enjoyed it. You guys definitely deserved that. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. We will be back. These shows are kind of like random. They're pop-ups, so we'll be back when we are, and we'll do some announcement and marketing. But other than that, that has been episode 53 of Boss Battle. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys very, very soon.
Let's
Later.
go.
Dance, Ramen.
Let's see the shades, Ramen. Yeah, there we go. The coolest box of noodles I've ever seen.
All right, guys. We'll see you very, very soon. Peace.